Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today with me. I have a solo episode for you, and it is all about how to improve your sleep with using a nighttime routine / ritual. So I have been incorporating some new things into my routine before bed, and I, of course, share everything here with you guys. So I want to share it with you because it has really affected me in a positive way. And I think especially because I have some new things coming up in my life this month. I am going to be busier than I have been, which that's pretty busy as far as like all the things that I have going on my plate. And so in order for me to get everything that I want to get done, I want to wake up early. I have always been a person who likes to get her workouts in the morning and, have my morning rituals and everything like that. If I don't get a good night's sleep, it's really hard for me to even want to get up and do all of that. So I've really started paying attention to how I can improve my sleep, what can I do, and then also adding in some little rituals and self-care to help just make me feel good and like I'm doing something nice for myself. And honestly, it's been so good. It's been such a short amount of time, but of course I had to share. There is a couple episodes that I talk about in the podcast. I will link that in the show notes. There's also a couple things that I use with my new routine that I will also link. But if there's something else that comes up that you're interested in hearing more about, you can always send me a message on Instagram. You can send me a DM. You can email me at info@learningtoglow.com. And I just want to thank you for being here. Please make sure that you share this with someone that could benefit from this, because these tools are very simple, but they are amazing. They work. So here you go. Enjoy this episode and let me know what you think. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Learning to Glow podcast. I'm your host, Jess, and I have a solo episode for you. I'm so excited about this solo episode because, of course, I always share what I'm doing in my personal life when it comes to my health journey. And anything that's working for me, that's exciting to me, I'm always going to share. So had to get back on here and do a solo episode. And this week is all about something that I just started doing, which is a nighttime routine. And that sounds a little silly because, of course, I have a nighttime routine. We all have nighttime routines. But I feel like my nighttime routine wasn't exactly health focused. And it was fine. But I was very inspired by a video that I saw online. And what this woman was doing was creating more rituals in her nighttime routine for self-care, things that help promote sleep. And I was like, oh my gosh, I never really thought about that. And I think, they matter so much, our nighttime routines, and they make your morning what they are. If you're having crappy mornings, I always say, look at your nighttime routine. What are you doing? Even if you don't think you have a nighttime routine, you're doing things at night routinely. So be conscious about it. And that's what I decided to start doing. We are so focused on a morning time ritual, which I have, and I've been practicing morning time routines for a few years now. But now that I focused on my nighttime routine, guess what? I'm sleeping better. And that's exciting. I think that getting a healthy nighttime routine in place can be so great to get us in the right headspace for sleep. I'm very guilty lately, especially, if you've listened to my solo episodes this summer, I always have a loosey-goosey summer compared to the rest of my year. It's just a season of my life with kids where I let things be loosey-goosey, I guess is the best way to say it. And sometimes I sleep in, sometimes I don't, everything's all over the place. And we were all staying up later than normal. I love getting the kids down a little bit sooner than they were getting down to sleep. And I usually stay up until they're asleep. So I was staying up way later. I used to talk about on this podcast maybe a year ago how I was so good at going to sleep. I could get in bed by 9 p.m., 9:30 to be asleep. And that was really important to me because I used to wake up really early and go to the gym. But that's really hard for me to do. And I think especially as my kids are getting older, there are times where my son is not even home from practice until 8:30. So, there's a lot of things that we have to do now that take us into the night a little bit more than before. So I've made some adjustments, and I am so excited to share what I've been doing that's been really working. And I can't believe I haven't done this sooner, because I've had some people on the podcast who've talked about this a little bit. We've focused more on the morning routine, but I know that this is beneficial, and I've done pieces of it, but I've kind of put it into a routine that I am loving. And a disclaimer before we get started that this is not for new moms or moms of young kids. That is not something that new parents need to focus on. I think you're kind of more in survival mode at that time. And whatever you can do to just get as much sleep as you can is good enough. So I just want to throw that out there. I remember when my kids were really small, I would fall asleep half the time in their bed putting them down because I was so exhausted. So that was not an ideal time of my life to really worry about this kind of a thing. So if that's you, don't worry. You can still add in things as you can, but you don't need to stress about it. But like I was saying, my kids are getting older now, and I've realized I can take a lot of my time back. I can incorporate these rituals into my life. I have a little bit more space. And this isn't all fluff either, what I'm going to be talking about today. There was a study that found that participants with consistent bedtimes across the week slept 40 minutes longer and spent 36% less time awake during the night. So this is due to having a sleep schedule and routine at nighttime. There was another study of 500 adults that found that 76% of those with a bedtime routine reported higher sleep quality compared to much lower rates among those that did not have a nighttime routine. And only 26% follow a consistent bedtime routine every night. So there's definitely some work that could be done there, some improvement that can be done there. And why does it matter if we're not sleeping, right? What's the big deal if we're not getting enough sleep? It's a big deal. So there was a study at Duke. A study of older adults showed irregular sleep patterns were associated with a higher weight, greater blood sugar and blood pressure, increased risk of heart attack or stroke. Not sleeping enough or interrupted sleep can really affect our health. I'll never forget years ago, I was driving home from Arizona from visiting my dad, and I was listening to a health summit, and Deepak Chopra was a speaker. I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the podcast, because this was years ago and it never left my consciousness. He was talking about the 7 most important things for our health and wellness. And he said sleep was number 1, and it didn't even come close to number 2. Number 2 didn't even come close to sleep. It was so far down the list compared to sleep. And I was kind of surprised, because at the time I was really into learning about nutrition and how that can change your life and your health and your, heal your body in so many ways. So I thought that was going to be way up there. I think nutrition was way down the list. I was really surprised by that. And it was very interesting because, yes, of course, like we said, we've talked about this on the podcast. Of course, we know sleep is so important, but it's crazy when you listen to the statistics from that study, how many different things can be affected, how many health issues that we can have just from not sleeping enough. And it didn't just say not enough sleep, it said interrupted sleep, which that is an issue I've had over this summer. And another reason why I was okay, it's time to get my night ritual in place if it's going to help me with my sleep. And I have had over this summer, some anxiety that would keep me up at night. And I would wake up in the morning just being oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I cannot believe I didn't sleep throughout the night. I went to bed right away. Some people have different issues with sleep. Some people can toss and turn and have a really hard time falling asleep. Some people have a hard time staying asleep. So some of the things that I'm going to share with you can help with all of those things. And on top of having some major health issues, like I talked about from the study, our hormones are very affected, which really stinks, because A lot of women in midlife are dealing with sleep problems because their hormones are out of whack. And not having enough sleep can cause hormonal disruption. So it's just like, it's an issue that we need to pay attention to. Obviously, energy. If we don't have enough sleep, we're going to be tired. And I've gotten to the point with my age, and I don't know if it's just me and my health journey and the things that I have going on in my life, but when I don't get enough sleep, I actually feel physically sick, which really sucks. Like I'll not have a good night's sleep and I'll feel physically ill. So it's a priority to me. And especially as I get older, like I didn't have those issues when I was in my 20s, but at this stage of my life, I'm definitely not able to get away with not having a good quality sleep and feel good. Okay, so we're going to get into what I've been doing, my current nighttime routine. And I would say that I've been doing this, like I said, about maybe less than a month. I started in August and it's now September. And I have a pre-nighttime routine that I'm doing. And that is walking after dinner. And I think I've mentioned this on the podcast that I've been really religious about it. And I'm doing it because of my digestion and my blood sugar. So I love to walk after I eat. But also, I'm just noticing that ever since I started being regular with that, my sleep has improved. And I'm also getting the sunset light into my eyes, which signals the body, okay, we're in the evening time, like let's get this party going, or let's get it slowing actually, so that we can get ready for the next step in our evening, which is going to be to prepare for rest. So it's signaling your brain when you're getting that sunlight in your eyes from that length of sunlight from like the sun setting. And it's just fun. Like I've been really enjoying going out in that time of day, and it's so beautiful. And especially because it's been so hot here, the sunsets have been amazing. So I've been loving that. I also think that just getting more steps in general, I had a challenge in August of getting 15,000 steps a day. And I did that every single day, which was a challenge because I'm not used to walking that many steps. And I think walking, just period, no matter what time of day, it tires your body out. So I think that helped contribute to like the fact that I've been sleeping better as well. There was actually a study that where participants who exercised in the evening instead of just sitting around, they slept about 30 minutes longer on average compared to those who did not exercise. So for me, that's just a walk. I love to get my workouts in the AM. And I think there's been other people who have said, sometimes if you're working out in the evening and it's like a really high impact exercise, that could actually affect your sleep in a negative way. But as far as walking goes, it's really great. And this is good to know because it's just another thing that we can do to help improve our sleep. I will be sad, I have to say, when the time changes, because walking later and like having the sun be out so late is so nice. It reminds me of when I was in Europe this summer and we had I think the sun was setting around 10:30 p.m. and it was just amazing. Like you get so much more out of the day and just to be outside longer. I don't know. I get a little bummed when the time changes. That's for sure. Okay. So the first step in my routine, since my walking is pretty much my pre-routine, is okay, you guys, big shocker. It has to do with skincare, but that's because I've added something to it. And at night, me, I can just I've talked about this forever. It does not take forever to put your skincare on. You do not need 17 products. You don't need to spend an hour in the bathroom. But because I have my skincare process down in like 60 seconds, I decided to add something to my routine of skin that makes it feel more like a ritual, because I feel like washing my face at night and putting my skincare on, it's kind of as routine as brushing my teeth. It's like just what I do. It's not hard to remember. It's not very special. It's just what I do. But I decided to add in a couple little things to make it more ritualistic and to have that self-care component. Just the feeling that I'm getting from this nighttime routine is like a yummy, cozy feeling. And it's not just like, okay, we're doing this because we want to sleep better, but also like the feeling that it gives me. And so I started using my Kansa wand at night. If you guys haven't heard my episode 135, that is about the new skincare trends and tips that I've been seeing this year. I talk about it there, but It is just really relaxing. It feels really great on my skin. So after I put my skincare on, I use my Consa wand. And then I've also talked about this on previous episodes, but I use face tape now. And so I've had my face tape. I bought it like a few months back, and then I do it here and there. I wasn't really consistent with it. And in August, I decided, this can be like one more little nicety that I do for myself, and I put my face tape on. I swear I've seen a difference in my skin, and it's from this face tape. So I think just having that on my skin for so long and limiting the movement at my forehead for hours a day now has actually helped my skin. And I've always been a believer in face tape. I just was never consistent with it. And having the one that I like to use now, it makes it easier, because before I was literally cutting tape. And I was like, I don't want to fuss with that. I'll also link that in the show notes if you want to check out the face tape. But I've just added a couple things to my routine so that it feels more ritualistic, like I said, adds a little bit of self-care, and it also helps improve my skin. That's how I start my nighttime routine. I also keep my repair toner on my nightstand. It's a lavender water base. Because of that, lavender is a natural calming ingredient. It's very soothing. And so I use it for like a sensory experience. I keep it on my nightstand right when I get into bed, and I spritz my toner, and it just feels lovely. It feels yummy and cozy, right? So I do that after I have gotten into bed, and I'm loving that little ritual as well. Okay, so for my next step, this is kind of a habit stacking tip, because I can struggle to consume my vitamins and my supplements. Like, I don't do them every day as religiously as I need to be. So, especially like I know for a fact I'm deficient in magnesium. I've taken blood work to show that I am deficient. However, according to my doctor, like most people are deficient in magnesium, and magnesium is something that is really helpful for sleep and quality of sleep. This was the easiest thing I ever did. I moved my bottle of magnesium to my nightstand. I haven't missed a night. It's just like something that I take. It's like right there. The minute I get in, I look at my nightstand. I have all of these things set out that I'm going to be talking about on my nightstand. So I never forget anymore. And I definitely think that could be another reason why my sleep has improved so much, because I was kind of taking it in the morning when I remembered. Now I'm taking it at night, which actually that's when they do recommend you take magnesium. And for anyone who is interested in taking magnesium for sleep, look into magnesium glycinate. That is the form that my doctor told me is really great if you're deficient, and also it helps to promote sleep. I also take something called Calm some nights. I don't do it all the time, but that's a magnesium citrate. That's the form that magnesium is in. And that is also, it's called Calm for a reason. It can help like relax you a little bit. That's more for people who like need to get things moving digestion wise as well. So I don't do that every night, but I do have that. And sometimes when I think of it, I also add that in. So I'm getting two different forms of magnesium. So they both help with relaxation. Okay, so my next step in my routine is more of a mindset step. What I do for this step is journaling. I have a new journal that I put on my nightstand, and I kind of wing it. Like, I don't do the same thing every night, but I do journal every night. So sometimes it's just gratitude. What went right today? I write down what I'm thankful for. I like to call it a brain dump, where you just like take all the stuff, all the junk in your brain, and put it on paper. If there's something that's on my mind that could possibly interfere with my sleep because I'm thinking about it and it could possibly wake me up in the middle of the night, I'm going to put that down on paper. I'm going to get it out of my brain and try to think about that another time. I don't want to go to sleep with it in my brain, because I know how I work. I will wake up and ruminate. And then when you're up at like 3 a.m. thinking about ridiculous things, it's really hard to be like normal about it. It's really hard to be logical, because your brain just takes over, and it's very unrealistically illogical at night. So in the middle of the night, you can't like talk yourself out of things as easily when you're half unconscious. So I love to do this. This has been really great. You can do intention setting. You can talk about, okay, I have got to do this, this, and this, instead of just sitting in your bed going, oh, I've got so much to do tomorrow. I've got so much to remember. Put it on paper, get it out of your brain so you don't have to worry about it. Another thing that you can do, there's so many great people online that talk about different things you can do with journaling. And there's something called scripting where you can kind of say, okay, this is how I want my day to go tomorrow. I'm going to write down the day that I want to have, and I'm going to write it as if it's already been done. And that's a really fun thing to do as well. So some type of gratitude, some type of brain dump every single night. I put a pen and a journal by my nightstand, and we get that taken care of. For the environment, this is kind of more to help get you into that self-care ritual mindset, but this has some real substance to it as far as like why to do it. I have a red light in my nightstand lampshade. So I don't have like a big bright white light that I'm using when I go to bed because I don't want to have that blue light in my eyes. So that is one thing that's real simple fix to do. People talk about cooling the bedroom. I have a ceiling fan that I have going. You're supposed to, oh my gosh, I don't do this. We are like a little bit more stingy with our AC. But if you can sleep with a cooler bedroom, they all say, all the experts that have been on my show say that's really important for sleep. I don't always do that. Sometimes I'm hot at night. When summer's over, I won't have to deal with that. But you could do little niceties. You can dim the lights. You can put an essential oil diffuser in your room. You can do the repair toner like I do. Something that touches on a sense or something sensory, a sensory experience that gets you into that like cozy feeling. And also something that really does work. Like lavender actually has been shown to be calming. So doing something like that is really nice touch and it does work. This one is something that is fun and not my idea. I got this from this lady that I saw the video of, but she talks about going onto Pinterest and doing like a mood board and pinning something on your Pinterest app that is like something that you want in life, something, a trip or, you know, a remodel of something that you want in your house, something that you don't have yet, but that you want. This goes back to like manifesting and visualizing and dreaming about stuff. And just, she's like, it's really good to do this before you go to sleep because then those fun things are floating around in your brain. And if you believe in that kind of thing, that's a really good time to do it. The only problem that I have with it is that you have to be on your phone. And we're trying to not be on our phone when we are doing this. So if you're on your phone and you're not going to go to sleep right away, it's fine. Or you can wear those blue blocker glasses. I have a pair of those in my nightstand too for when I remember. But it is fun to just, I mean, that could take a few minutes, or you could just like be like, I want to pin one little thing a day. I think that's really fun. Another thing that she mentioned that I think is amazing and really adds to the experience of a nighttime ritual is she talked about using a playlist, like playing music lightly while she's doing all of these things like journaling and whatever else she's doing for her nighttime ritual. She listens to jazz, but there's a playlist on Spotify and Apple that are called sleepy jazz or sleep jazz or whatever. And she'll listen to that while she's doing all of this. I'm like, that's such a cute idea. I love that. So I've been doing that as well. Okay. And the last one is read. I am reading something that is a nonfiction. I'm actually reading Tiny Habits, which is a really good book. And it's great for the things that I'm trying to implement into my life right now, especially September. I'm like really trying to lock in till the end of the year when it comes to my health goals. So I thought this would be the perfect book to read in September. But you could read anything you want. I have a lot of listeners that I know personally that read all the time. They don't need to be reminded to read. But if you like to read, but you've been just too tired or you haven't made the time for it, find a good book and find anything and just read for a few minutes. And I think another thing about reading that is so great is that it helps your eyes get really tired and it'll definitely help put you to sleep, especially if you're reading nonfiction. I feel like it's a lot harder to get through a nonfiction than affection that you're really into, like a page turner. So sometimes when I'm reading this book, I'm like, oh my gosh, I only read a page. I'm done. And that's fine too. But that is it. Those are the things that I've been doing. I've been trying to get to bed. It's not been the perfect time for me. I still would love to go to bed a little bit earlier, but I feel like my quality of sleep has definitely improved since I started doing this. And also, I'm getting up in the middle of the night less. So there are times where I sleep all the way through the night and I'm like, yes, it's so exciting. As someone who's always gotten up to have to go to the bathroom, I still do that sometimes. It's like 50-50. But when I can make it all the way through the night and not have to go to the bathroom, I'm just like so excited. So those are my big additions to what I'm doing, my more conscious of my health nighttime routine. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can figure out what you think would be best for you. If you're struggling with your sleep, though, try some of these things. If you're struggling with your sleep and you're not taking magnesium before bed, try that. Try to limit your screens. Obviously, we all know this, but it does make a difference. Our brains are very powerful and sensitive to that. So if you can limit these things or shorten the way that you're doing it now or just make some small shifts, those add up. And those results that you'll see is it's motivating. Like I love to do my nighttime ritual and because it doesn't just feel like I'm checking something off the list when I add in that cozy self-care feeling where I'm like, ooh, like I'm so excited to get into bed because I get to do all these things. I'm going to put my music on and I'm going to pin a few things or whatever it is that makes me feel excited that I know that I'm going to have a better night's sleep. And it's just like I'm doing some things for myself. I mean, this is the definition of self-care to me, like taking time out of my night to spend ensuring that I get a better night's sleep and that I don't have the stuff on my mind that I sometimes do and that I put that on paper. Like that's been a really, really big one for me. I journal in the morning, but this is new for me doing it at night. And I think it's been really, really great. But like I said, if you're just starting and you don't have a real nighttime routine or you're like so consumed with your kids in the evenings and you're too tired to do anything, maybe you could pick one thing that is for you that can help give you a little bit of peace, self-care, because it makes a difference. And then maybe you love it and you add in a couple more. So I'm all about like starting small and like not overwhelming yourself. I heard this really good explanation from this trainer online and he basically was saying, a lot of people right now are locking in for September. They from now until the end of the year, they're like, okay, I want to have all of these goals met. I want to accomplish some weight loss. I want to lower my whatever levels. I want to grow my business, whatever it is. And so I think when, like, for example, if you have a goal to start exercising and you're like 0 days a week going to the gym and you're like, let's go, I'm ready. And I'm going to start with 5 days a week. It's just not sustainable at first. Start smaller and get that habit down. Start twice a week because that's doable. And then you'll be like, okay, yeah, I got this down. After a few weeks, let's do another. Let's do 3. But I've seen it in people that I know. They do the same thing. It's like full on and it's too much. And sometimes it's unnecessary. I know people who have made a goal of going to the gym 6 days a week after not going to the gym. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work. So I always say, like, it's better to start small and incorporate things in because once you do and you see, oh, I'm feeling better or like I'm seeing some positive results, that's motivation to keep going. And with this, like I started sleeping better right away. So it's not rocket science, but it is fun. And it's something that of all the things that I've been doing and adding into my life, like morning routines and all of that, it's just something I wasn't doing. So I hope that this helps someone. I hope that you're inspired to do a little bit of self-care for yourself before you go to bed. And I'd love to hear if you do it. Let me know if it works. Let me know if you feel a little less stress or a little bit more energy in the morning. Because I think at this age, we are all looking for that. We're all looking for feeling as good as we can, having the most energy that we can. And we all know if it can help support our sleep, that it's a positive thing. So make sure that you send me a message and let me know how it's going. If you have not left us a review on Apple Podcasts, please do. I so appreciate it. You can just go straight over to the show and leave us a 5-star review and share this with somebody who could possibly need a little nighttime routine and ritual in their life. And thank you guys so much for being here. I so appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.